Otakuology podcast with Otaku Mike and Jin Graves.
Hello. Welcome to episode 2 or part 2 of Get to Know the Host on the Otakuology podcast. I am Otaku Mike, or you can just call me Mike. How's it going, Jin?
Pretty good. You ready for this?
Did you have fun on our last podcast?
I did. I felt like you beat the shit out of me on some of those questions.
So, we are a pop culture nerd podcast, whatever you want to call us. And Jen thought up the great idea to basically, for new people to get to know us and
Right.
what our podcast is about and what we're all about. We thought we would answer questions or interview each other. And I interviewed Jen last time on our episode. So this time I am being the interviewee, and Jen is going to interview me.
Right. And tell them real quickly where they can find that other one right now.
So you can find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever podcasts are around. You can find it on Anchor. Go leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast, and we'll read your review on our podcast, negative or non-negative. You know,
Right.
They do a weird thing with Apple Podcast where it actually helps us grow our audience if you decide to leave us a star rating and a review.
I think I'm going to have to go 5 stars on that, but I might also have to leave a bad review, because
That's fine.
I want my review read.
Hey, if good or bad, we will read your review.
So if you see a comment on there that says, "What would Otaku Mike look like with mutton chops?" Be prepared.
Probably terrible. I'd probably be terrible. I think I tried mutton chops one time, and I looked like Fat Wolverine. It was
I don't know
terrible.
why that was so funny, but it just got me. I look like Fat Wolverine. Okay, so you ready to get into these questions? So I have 10 questions for you with a couple follow-up in between them.
Okay, let's do this.
You want to do the same thing? You want to do the same thing we did on mine, and you give me a random number, or you just want me to go through them?
Yeah, sure. We'll do. I like the randomness of the situation.
All right, 1 through 10.
All right. I'll go with number 5. Give me number 5.
Number 5. All right, easy question. Very easy. Maybe not, because we're fat guys.
Okay.
What's your favorite snack?
Oh God. I really like beef jerky.
Yeah.
My go-to snack is probably beef jerky and peanut butter M&Ms would be the two that I usually go for. But I don't always get jerky, but because sometimes it can be expensive to get.
Right.
But I really, really do love a good, nice.
Which is funny. In our whole time being friends, I never knew this question, so I thought it was a really good one to ask. Because I've never heard you talk about beef jerky or any of this stuff. So
yeah. My wife, her uncle, actually runs a beef jerky business, and I buy beef jerky from him. I'm his test subject for his new beef jerky flavors that he makes.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Have you ever had beef jerky like soaked in like sweet tea? I have.
No.
I have. It's delicious.
But that sounds delicious.
It is really fucking good.
All right. What's your next one?
So give me number 3.
Number 3. I feel like number 5 will probably be the hardest question you have today.
Oh, dang it. I was hoping
Uh,
to get into like the nitty gritty and like ask me some like really hard hitting questions.
so number 3, what got you into manga?
Oh boy. That's kind of a difficult question to answer. It's kind of a long question. So back in the day, back in the mid to late '90s, I was reading a lot of comic books, or as people call them, American comic books. I'm a huge. I grew up in that big comic book boom, where just comic books were everywhere. You could get a comic book anywhere you wanted, basically. And I would go to this store. It was called Baseball Fevers. It was in Sugarland, Texas. It was a sports memorabilia store, like a trophy store
Right.
slash comic book store. And I remember my dad would take me there to go get comic books and whatnot. And I saw this 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 comic book at the time called Battle Angel Alita. Um, it's a very popular cyberpunk manga, but at the
Definitely had that movie come out a few years
yeah
ago.
yeah it did have that movie come out. But at the time I didn't know it was manga because it wasn't in normal Tankuban format. It was in like regular floppy comic book format, like you get at the newsstand.
Right.
And I just fell in love with that, and yeah, I remember getting it because it was more expensive than my normal comic books, uh, and I just thought it was like an indie comic. I didn't even know it was like manga at the time, because back in the day, it was harder to get a hold of manga, and then like I kind of drifted away from that, and I just focused f- m- majority on anime, and I became a really big fan of anime. And it wasn't until probably 8 years ago where I really dove into manga, because I was kind of under the mindset, and this might sound like a little bit of a jerk or like assholeness, but I was kind of like, I don't need to read manga or backwards comics. I can watch the anime.
Right.
you know and that's where I primarily focused on, was watching anime. So I watched like Dragon Ball, stuff like that. All if it was on Toonami, I watched it, basically.
Right.
So it wasn't until I got older, and I want to say I was maybe 25, 26, because I'm 35 right now, is when I got into manga, and I started buying a manga here and there, and just absorbing like the manga fandom and culture, and I really do enjoy it. You know, it was just one random encounter when I was at a local Hastings at the time, and I picked up a manga, and
Sounds like we all have random encounters at Hastings.
I kind of never looked back, and I just
Yeah.
now I'm up to like over 450 something volumes of manga,
Right.
and like I just I mean, I feel like my manga collecting has probably grown more since I had joined the YouTube manga review
Right.
like
Well, I mean, and
thing.
you got a friend like me, so
Yeah, but yeah, I just it was just one day where I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna check this out. You know, I kind of let my my biasness of reading backwards hold me back for quite a while when reading manga. You know,
right.
yeah,
I always thought about part of that as the Dr. Seuss story. I can read with my eyes shut, Mr. Brown or whatever.
yeah, yeah,
And I always thought it was really weird because after I started reading manga and everything, I started realizing that uh, reading and trying to understand the mindset of reading it basically the opposite way. Totally, when you can master that skill, you can read backwards and forwards and upside down and all this other stuff, and you're just like, how did I gain this ability? So,
Yeah, I mean, it still messes with me sometimes with like the panel layouts
yeah,
and whatnot, and I'm just like, okay, how do I have to stop myself and and be like, let my mind adjust,
right.
and I'll be okay, that didn't sound right, so let me go back and reread it and see exactly how this goes because it's something that I still struggle with sometimes because I have a slight dyslexia and learning disability and whatnot, but it has helped,
So,
learning how to read backwards.
right. So, let me ask you this. So, you and I are both obviously nerd dads, manga dads, stuff like
Uh-huh.
that. What do you hope to rub off on your kids from your nerdiness?
Um well, they kind of already been doing that themselves little by little. They My son, randomly found My Hero Academia on Hulu, I believe it was, and he watches like Beyblades and whatnot. Like he just randomly found it.
Right.
Um, and he also was big into Pokemon, and then that kind of rubbed off on my daughter, and she's all about Pokemon right now. She loves Pokemon. Like, and I didn't have even have to push them on my hobbies. They kind of just
Came,
I let them
into it
find their
on
own
their own.
way. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's something that I didn't I don't want to do is push this on my kids, because it's my hobby and I want to be a little jealous about it. Um,
Right.
I mean, if they're interested in manga like later on, like I've bought my son um or my wife and I have bought um the first two Pokemon volumes for the Pokemon manga, and then when my daughter, uh, you know, she's 8 and she's starting to learn how to read better and whatnot, and working on her reading skills. I'm gonna hand her a volume of manga and be like, hey, check this out because I know you really like it, probably
Right.
because she is interested in manga and stuff like that. She knows what it is, they all know what it is, and and they're like, I can see them getting interested in it, but I want to guide them in the right way so they read something that's their age appropriateness.
Right.
Because
For sure.
you know how manga is with um their I don't know, parental advisory or whatever you want to call it, or
Yeah.
censorship. Their censorship is a little different than America.
Right.
And I do know that Viz does sometimes censor their stuff over here for kids. Like they do censor the Pokemon manga.
Right.
Um, but I I want them to find and develop their own love of it. I don't want to push it on them. You know, they've been watching God Pokemon. I don't know how
Right.
freaking long. You know,
Awesome. And
yeah,
we do have another show, everybody out there, coming up later on for the 25 years of Pokemon. So
yeah.
stand by and get ready for that at some point. So you
It's
will
fun.
see
It's
that coming
funny.
out.
It's funny that you say that because today is like Pokemon Day, I
Right.
believe.
Right. So maybe even later on today after this one
May-
comes out.
Maybe we'll record it today and release it like in a week or two.
Right.
But yeah.
All right.
What number?
So what's your next number that you want?
Okay, so this might sound stupid. What numbers did I pick already?
5 and 3.
5 and 3.
Yeah.
Let's go with 4.
Number 4. All right. So number 4. What's one thing on your bucket list?
Like just in general.
Just in general. Like, pick the craziest, wackiest thing you think is out there.
Uh, I could say the generic thing and probably go to Japan,
Right.
but that's one thing I would like to do. Um,
Hey, I mean, that's on my list too.
but I would say I would like to get an anime tattoo. like
So
a
if you were going to
anime
get
or manga tattoo.
if you were going to get one of those, what do you think you would go with?
There's a specific one that I would go with. It's from Gundam Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
It's a logo for this group of this like squadron that the one of the main characters is a part of. His name is Daryl Lorenz, and they have the squad is called the Living Dead Squad or whatever it's called.
Right.
And it's like a skull, and it's like a side portrait, and it says DL, and they're like intertwined on the skull itself,
Right.
and it looks like it's kind of morphing into a Zaku.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I would want to get. 'Cause
Awesome.
it's simple. It's
I would have totally pegged you as getting like a chibi Zangief face where he's like angry looking.
I mean, I do like Zangief. I'm a big Zangief. I wish I could crush people's heads in my thighs like Zangief.
Not crushing people's heads in your thighs.
Yeah.
All right. So which one you want next?
Let's go with number 2.
Number 2. Okay.
But before that, let's take a quick break
Sure.
and hear a word from our sponsors.
From you? Hey guys, we are back. We're the Otakuology podcast, and here we go. This is the second part of our show. Thanks from our word from our sponsor, Otaku Mike,
/anchor.com.
/anchor. And we are asking Mike questions, doing this whole interview thing with him, and getting to know your co-host a little better. So, what question did you want right as we left off before our break?
Was it 2? I can't remember.
I believe it was 2.
I feel like your questions are a lot better than my questions were. I feel like you thought about them more harder.
Hey, man. I was trying not to pull any punches because I know you were aiming a little bit below the belt on some of those ones last night, okay? So, number 2, what is your favorite game you and I have played together, and why?
Oh, God. Like video game?
Yeah. And I mean, I think you and I have played like 7 games together at this point, so I thought this would be a really good question.
Is it bad that I don't remember all the games that we've played together?
Probably so.
Well, one I can think of off the top of my head is probably the Division 2.
Yeah.
When we played that was pretty crazy. Like we sunk a lot of time into that game.
Yeah, we did.
Like a lot of, and I don't even know if we're even done with it, because we still got to do that expansion pack and whatnot.
No, we're only at the halfway point, I think.
Yeah, but I remember I sunk a lot of time into that game, and I remember I bought it, and it was like $5 at the time or something, like $10.
We got it like as a gem on a discount, and yeah, I mean, I feel like that was one that turned out probably being one of the biggest games that we've actually had fun with.
Yeah, I can't count how many times like we've like gone and got like all the weapons and like just experienced the world that they created of this like apocalyptic like setting in Washington D.C. I would love to go back because I have the first game as well. I would
Right.
love to go. I would love to go back and play the first game all the way through because I've only played the beginning. But I would love to play the first game with you and see how that is. But I know
Right.
the second game they did fine tune a lot of things and
right, and like you said, we
improve a
still
lot of
have
things.
we still have to finish that because
Yeah.
we've only done like the first half of the game, and we still have the second half and the extended universe of it. So
Yeah, because I remember they had the thing where was it the bad guys took over DC again or something like that?
yeah,
That's the thing.
the
That's what I remember.
fourth group of people. came
Yeah.
in. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say the Division 2. That was pretty fun. That's probably my top game we played with each other, because that one I didn't get bored playing it.
Right.
Gen Z would probably be a second uh place.
Yeah.
We did play a lot of Gen Z as well,
Oh yeah, we did.
but that game kind of got monotonous
Right.
after a while, and I'm like, okay, I gotta move on to something else.
Right.
Oh yeah, it was still fun. It was still fun, but I was like, I gotta move on and do something else or play something else, because I put so much time into that as well.
Right. So since we talked about video games and manga and comics and all this other stuff so far, short of TV shows, which guys, I mean, we both like TV shows too. You guys will find that out as we go farther in. What is one piece of merch that you kind of wish you had?
Oh, like in general.
Yeah, in general, from anything.
Um,
Maybe it could be a statue of Fat Wolverine, or something like that.
I
Something you've
would.
seen and you're like, kind of wish I really had that. It's been the thing that's been
So
on your mind off and on.
there's one thing that I would really like to have. It was a thing that Dark Horse put out. Dark Horse Comics. You may or may not know who they are, because they're kind of infamous in a good and bad way, but I like them a lot. They put out this set of Umbrella Academy figures from the comic books. They're like statues.
Right.
I would really like this, because I'm a huge fan of Umbrella Academy. Like, I eat those books up. Like, I love the designs of the characters and this the world that they built. And then you get like all like 8 of them or whatever. There's like 8 or 7 of them. I can't remember how many there are, but they're just beautiful. These beautiful statues that you can you know have to display, and they're kind of
Right.
expensive. It's like a couple hundred. It's like $400 or $600, I think, for
For all of
all
them.
of. I think for all of them together.
Holy crap!
I've only
What's your favorite character out of Umbrella Academy?
I like Luther. I like Luther. I like Luther. 'Cause he's kind of like the Captain America of the group a little bit,
Right.
you know. Um, and he just has that big gorilla body
Yeah.
that and it's different from like the TV show.
Right.
So, and I especially like Fat Luther when he gets like depressed and fat.
Feel like that's been our whole podcast so far, starting out with snacks and Fat Wolverine and Fat Luther.
I can't help it. I mean, I'm a big guy.
Yeah.
So
So, what's the next question you want?
so I did 4, 5, and 2, right?
You've done 2 through 5 so far.
2, 4, and 5.
Yeah, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Okay, let's go with number 1.
Number 1. Okay. So, I'm going to tell you this ahead of time.
Uh-huh.
This is one of the punt hits that I'm throwing at you because you threw it at me last night, okay?
Oh, fuck.
So, how long have you been in love with Monster Girls? And why are you in love with Monster Girls?
Oh, fuck. Why did I feel like this is gonna come back around?
You knew it was. You knew it was.
It goes back to what I said earlier about picking up that manga at Hastings. I picked up Monster Musume, and I was just kind of like, I want to say in awe, but it was like something different.
Right.
And that's kind of why I was drawn to it. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I do find them attractive in some way, shape, or form. But they are cartoon characters and they're not real. It's just, it kind of tickles my fancy a little bit,
Right.
you know. And,
So, building off of a question you asked me yesterday on the 2 girls or 3Ds. So, have you ever put a 2D Monster Girl in your Spank Bank?
Most definitely. I mean, I got those hentai,
Yeah,
the hentai from Faki, the Monster Smash, and was it Does My Strange Body Please You?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and I most definitely, like, you know, everybody has their own weird kinks.
You're not lying. Okay, so building off of that, this is a sidebar, but what is your favorite dad joke that you like to tell usually?
Oh, I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Okay, well, just put that in the back of your mind, and as we
Okay,
go through, if you got one that pops up, let me know.
okay,
But I'm going to force you to pick number 6 on this one since you did mention Faku.
okay. Number six. I picked
Okay,
number
so
six
number
now.
6, with Faku, who is your favorite creator?
Oh, that's easy. Mimi 50. I like Mimi 50. Um,
And why do you like them?
um, I really like the art. I think they because I feel like they draw the female form in a more realistic way to an extent.
Right,
Yeah, yes, they do have like the women with like the really large breasts or the bigger breasts, um, but they I I I I like it when there's more of like a realism to it sometimes,
right,
and that he or she, I don't know who, I think it's a he. Um, they um they were the first Faku book I picked up and I read,
right,
because I read Drawn by Brush, which is a which I did a video on it like a year or so ago, and like it people still like talk about it to this day,
right,
or will message me about it. Like this, you gave off so much energy within this video, and I
right.
was like,
The
like
passion.
the passion, but like I I I just really like it. I don't feel like they necessarily um like they have it's these they seem to have like sort of respect almost for females or female characters,
Right,
because they there's no like real rape in,
right,
as far as I've read so far. There's no rape. Now I've only read that one book,
right.
but it I don't know, it just seems it just kind of gelled with me,
Yeah.
you know
All right.
yeah.
So you got 7, 8, 9, and 10 left.
Go with 8.
Number 8. Okay. Let me write that down real quick. If you could have a superpower, what would it be, and what would you most likely use it for?
um can I just say Wolverine?
You want the healing or the claws?
I want both. Because I mean, he has two mutations: the claws and the healing factor.
Right. Yeah.
You know, I want both. I want to be Wolverine.
So would you say that Wolverine is your favorite superhero?
I would put him up there. Yes, I have a real fondness for Wolverine. Um, he made a he was a big influence during the '90s. He was everywhere, and I don't know, you kind of identify with him being like a loner and stuff like that, and having all these like problems that he would have to deal with his like past and stuff.
So who would you say is like your ultimate number one superhero, though?
um that's hard to say, because there's so many of them I like.
Right.
But I would put Wolverine up there. Probably just throw all the X-Men up there because I'm a big X-Men fan. Yeah, that's what I would
Yeah.
just throw all of them up there.
Awesome.
I lumped them all in a group.
Yeah.
I mean,
You
there are
just
so
you just
many.
want the team.
There are so many. Like the question is a really good one that I love. Different incarnations of Superman, particularly '90s Superman. I really love.
Right.
Cable from X-Men is really good. Try to look at my bookshelf. Witchblade. I'm a really big Witchblade fan.
Right.
Particularly Ron Mars's run of Witchblade. Um, that kind of changed my life reading it. Um, Even though people say Witchblade is just a TNA book, I believe it's more than that, and I think it's changed over time. Yeah, so I mean, there's tons of ones I could think of.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, guys, we're going to take another break here for a second, have another word from our sponsor, and when we get back, Mike has 3 more questions to answer. So make sure you stick around for after the break.
I think my interview is longer than yours.
I think it is too. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around after this break again. Um, and make sure you listen to the whole podcast. Rate us 5 stars. Let us know that any reviews and other things you have. So we are
And
going to get
share with your friends.
right. Let them know, because people
Share
that
on
listen to
social
us,
media.
will probably be envious of you for doing it.
And you might be able to be on the podcast in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
Yeah.
So let us know, and we're going to hop back into this. Mike has about 3 more questions left for you to get to know my amazing co-host.
Oh, I feel honored. I'm
Right?
amazing.
I feel like if we were in the interview movie, that uh, I would be Seth, and you would be my James Franco.
Oh man, I love that movie.
Right?
All
So
right, so
you got 7, 9, or 10 left.
let's go with 9.
Number 9. So for number 9, if you could collect any Funko Pop line, what would it be and why?
Oh,
And I feel like I already know this one, because this is the one you always send me pictures of.
I really like the ad icons, Funko Pops. The like the Twinkie the Kid and Slushy Puppy and like the ones from I don't know. I just get so nostalgic looking at them.
Right.
But I feel like we could turn the whole Funko Pop thing into a whole podcast in it on its own.
That's true too.
Um, uh, I,
I remember
I
for like a straight month, you kept sending me pictures of every time you went to a store and the Kool-Aid Man was there.
oh yeah, I kind of regret not getting him, but it was the giant Kool Aid Man,
Right.
and I don't know where I would put it.
That's true too.
I kind of want to find the smaller Kool Aid Man and get him eventually.
Right.
I
If he's
do, I
if
do,
he's
I
not
do.
like $100 by now.
Yeah, I do like the is it the retro toy Funko Pop line as well.
Yes.
Uh, those are one. I know that one. I think that one's kind of new, but I got the Cavity Sam from Operation
Yeah.
from that one. I do like the X-Men like Marvel line, but I don't like those because they're bobbleheads.
Right.
And I
No,
feel
I
like
agree. I agree.
I feel
I
like
don't feel like I like the Funko Pop bobblehead ones like that.
yeah,
I would rather have them with just the straight
yeah,
non-moving bobble parts.
yeah. But yeah, the ad icons cuz I just get so nostalgic. Like if I ever find like a Chester Cheeto
Yeah.
or something like that, I would probably snag it up right
Snack it
away.
up.
I almost there was a lot on eBay where it was the Hawaiian Punch guy, a version of the slush puppy, and a Coca-Cola can and like a Coca-Cola I think it was bottle opener or cap.
Yeah.
And I almost bought it. And I had to stop myself. And I was like, I don't have a lot of room to put them. So I have to be very selective on which Funko Pops I get.
Right. Yeah, because I know you don't have a lot of those, but of the ones that you have, what are like your like few top favorites?
My Kitty Pride X-Men one is very is probably the top, the one with Lockheed. Because my wife got that for me for our anniversary. And then probably second would be Hazel and Cha Cha. And then probably Godzilla would be number 3. Because I like Godzilla. If they had a King, if they come out when they come out with the new King Kong, that's like a 6 or 10 inch or
Right.
whatever, I would probably get that.
I mean, they are having the new King Kong and Godzilla come out for the movie, so I
Yeah,
can't wait for that one myself.
because I have the older Godzilla, but I don't have the box for it. I threw my box away,
Which,
which
I mean, that would be a fun podcast for us to have too, is just talking about our favorite kaiju or guys like that of all time.
yeah, yeah, most definitely. All right,
All right,
so what do I
so
have? Like, which ones do I have left?
7 and 10.
We'll go with 7. We'll save
Okay.
10 for last.
All right, so number 7. What is your current favorite TV show? Or
Uh,
few?
I
I assume
really
I assume you could probably give us like a live action one and an animated one.
well, I haven't watched any anime recently. Um, but recently, or not recently, but I really two of my favorites that I always go back to. Well, I would say 3. I like Superstore. Superstore is a really big one for me. I think it's fucking hilarious. It's the
I
one where
and
it's
I've just watched that one recently, so that's
you
the
have
funny part.
oh,
Yeah,
okay. It's fucking funny. Like it's like I sit there and I'll pick if I watch something an episode and I rewatch it, I'll pick up on things and I think it's fucking hilarious. Like I love
yeah,
when they walk past or the people or shoppers like do something really like odd. I think that's funny.
yeah.
You know, and I think I love all the characters for that. So Superstore is probably one of them. I would say the Goldbergs. I love the Goldbergs. It's all 80s nostalgia and it's based on like a real family.
Right.
Like the creator based it on his family and they have like actual footage and whatnot. I love the Goldbergs. That's probably gonna be 4 answers right here. Um, I really like Atypical.
Yeah.
Uh, I love Atypical because my son is autistic. He's high functioning autistic, but he's autistic,
Right.
and it's a show about a family who has to deal with a autistic son, and it kind of hits home to me, and I really enjoy it, and I can't wait to watch the final season of that.
Right.
Like I get emotional watching that show,
Yeah.
and then one that I watched with my wife, Kathleen, is This Is Us. We watch that all the time. This Is Us is a really good show. If you want a good cry, it'll fucking make you cry. It hits you in like the feel good moments,
Right.
like that, like those feel good cries. Like you're like,
Yeah.
it's so happy but sad.
Right. I feel like we've all seen shows like that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's roll on into number 10,
All
your
right.
last and final question.
All right.
And I have one more follow up question.
Okay. Oh boy.
So number 10, also a question you asked me last night.
Oh.
So I'm throwing this one in your court. Why are you and I best friends?
Oh God. I mean, who better to jump into a fucking fire with, you know?
Right?
Like, um, I mean, I feel like we kind of almost complement each other. Like, it's almost like the Odd Couple in a sense. If anybody knows what that is, it's an old TV show. Like you're more like the straight man, and I'm kind of like the I don't want to say bombastic, like out there.
Yeah.
Like I kind of like push the boundaries, and you have to kind of like reel me in,
Right.
type of thing. I don't know. I just feel like we just like clicked
Right.
and just became fast friends, and we do like a lot of the same manga. We do have differences, you know, we do like different things and
Right.
whatnot, so that we're not like 100% carbon copies of each other, you
Right.
know, but we just kind of bonded of about our lives, about our things we've gone through. We're, you know, we're both dads.
And
uh
it's really funny how um, from after the breaks and all this other stuff, letting the viewers know, basically, me and Mike, whenever we talk about each other, it's really funny because we always throw out people that are friends or whatever. So, like, Seth and James, or people that work together as a duo, like Hazel and Cha Cha, which
like
is
Jay and Silent Bob.
Jay and Silent Bob. I mean, it's always a thing that
And
I feel like
it's
we
funny
both
because
do.
like it's funny because like people have within like the manga tube community, because that we're a part of, or like the YouTube community, they've kind of like lumped us together in like a package deal.
Right?
Like
So
it's either
true. I
it's either
feel
like
like if I fuck up at all, they're like, "Oh, Otaku Mike, you asshole." And then if you do something that's like Jen Graves, can't
God.
believe you, and I'm like, "What did I do? What did I do?"
I feel like we can't like sometimes people think of us as just like one person nowadays, kind of like, or like, you know, that you know what I mean.
Right. They think of us in a hive mind way of thinking that we're basically
But
like this big creature together when
but
we're
the
not.
thing is, like, our thought processes are just so like completely different, because you know I let my emotions get the best of me and whatnot, and you know I there are times where I'll go off the fucking handle, you know,
Right.
and you know I get so passionate about something, you know, and people are like, Jane Graves, you gonna get your guy right here?
Right. I always love those because I'm like, no, I'm gonna let him go. Yeah, because most of the time the other person is who started, and I'm like, why would I jump in that? You know, it would be like if somebody was trying to walk up on me or whatever, and one of my dogs went after him. Like, you want me to pull my dog back after you were the one that came in trying to get at me? Like, no.
uh, yeah.
So, you know, and then I just deal with the consequences afterward because I don't ever feel like they're as bad as people want to make them out to be. So,
Yeah, I shoot my mouth off a lot.
so the last follow up question is actually another one that you gave me last night.
Okay.
And it is, what do you expect out of us doing all this and out of future podcasts and things like that?
Oh God. Well, I want to keep them on an hour under podcast length if possible. I would like to try a lot of different things. Like, I don't want to just focus on manga and anime, even though I do want to do like a complete read through of the Pokemon Adventures manga and stuff like that, or other manga, and do like chapter and chapter reviews. I really want to do a chapter reviews of the Pokemon manga, but I just want to have fun. I want to share my hobbies with people, and maybe, you know, help some people along the way who are new to getting into manga or other hobbies that I enjoy. Um, I would like to incorporate more comic books into this as well.
Yeah,
I don't want it to be so very single minded. I know our podcast says Otakuology, which when you say otaku, you think of anime and manga, but you know that is a part of our of what we enjoy and what we love. But there are other facets to our lives, and you
right.
know,
Well, in Japan, you know, otaku just basically means an extreme like for something. So I feel
yeah,
like off of this, you could actually say that you and I are extreme nerds just by
yeah,
using the otaku word.
yeah.
So I feel like that's probably probably sums it up in a nutshell of you and I jump into things and we wholeheartedly and passionately like the shit that we like. So,
Yeah. I don't. I would love for us to talk about stuff like you to talk about stuff that I personally am not into. I know you're more into a lot of these Shonen Jump titles and stuff like that. I feel like we could still have discussions, even though I'm not 100% on board.
right,
With the rah rah. Hey, I'm holding up my pom poms. Screaming, I love this title. But I feel like we could get really good discussions out of it.
right,
Like I just, it's not going to be like a circle jerk podcast where like, oh, we both love everything, you know, like that. Yeah, I just want to have fun. That's really the main thing I want to do. I want to have fun, and I want people to be entertained by the product that we put out. And this is going to be a journey because we have done things in the past, but they weren't of this magnitude, like of just being a podcast.
right. I feel like, I mean, even with the few shows that we've already done, that this stuff is on a entirely different caliber from what we've done before.
And honestly, I feel like we kind of have to work harder at it because it's not we're not connected to YouTube. We're kind of in uncharted territory.
Right?
You, you know?
It's not like we're swimming in the YouTube sea anymore. It's more like we're in our own little ocean planet. We're kind of shoveling water out to YouTube and stuff.
Yeah, and I've always wanted to do a proper podcast because I all I do when I'm at work is listen to podcasts.
Right?
That's how I get through the day.
Well, I hope that this new podcast, that I heard about, Otakuology, will be one that you will turn on and listen to at work.
Oh, you want me to download it and listen to it?
Hell yeah!
Okay, I'll go do
I
that.
want that text message. I just listened to this podcast, Otakuology, and it was fucking great. Mike, you're on that podcast. Oh yeah,
Oh,
I am.
what? I
Shit.
am. So I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been like, Jen, you gotta listen to this podcast. It's really good.
Right.
Stuff like that, and you're like, I don't know if you're like a big podcast person, but it's one thing that I've always wanted to do, and for years actually, and I feel like we have the proper tools now um to try our best and you know bring positivity to the world.
Right. Proper tools, proper experience.
Yeah, because
So, but
yeah.
anyway, guys, we will catch you all later on another show in the future. Say bye, Mike,
Bye,
and
and
and remember, see you next Tuesday.